Ladies and grumble weeds, here we have a Lindo, sort of semi, metallic alike Superstrat, and so we'll do a noisy tune, we'll go through the pickups, I'll tell you what I can about it, and it's found this is a tale of grumblage. So let's go. Okay, pickup time. Let's have you down here. You see what's going on. So we shall start with, look at that, that's nice and bendy. So okay, so we've got we'll go through the specs and what have you later, but so 5-position blade switch, and we shall start with the humbucker at the back. Into position 2, which is between the humbucker and the centre pickup. That's my favourite for jazzy. Into the centre. Nice enough. In between the centre and the neck. Lacking in a little power there, but onto the neck. Okay, so nice enough. Now, let's have a look round it, and let me tell you what I can. So, Lindo, or is it? If you have a look, let's start with this. If you have a look at the maker's mark on the headstock, you may be able to see that there is something else underneath there. I don't know if that comes across on here, but certainly there is something, another name that's been probably roughly sanded out, headstock probably colour matched with the Lindo sticker on top. I believe that these were also called Imperial, but Lindo, this slide transfer has been stuck on top of something else. So that's our first clue to what this guitar is all about. I mean, generally speaking, the overall picture is one of absolute happiness. I mean, it's nice and shiny. It looks a bit like an Ibanez, doesn't it? You know, with the old pointy headstock and the and the single humbucker configuration. And so let's have a look at it from stem to stern. So first of all, we've got this dodgy sticker on the top of it. On the back here, we've got, as you can see, sealed Goto style tuners. They are okay, but you can when you're turning them, you can feel a bit of ratchetiness with them. You do have a scarf joint, which is always a good thing. Again, just like the old Ibanez guitars there and other guitars of that ilk. And you've got a lock stop nut at the top. You've got these fabulous, I mean, I love that, I absolutely love those flame inlays, and they are proper inlays. I assume acrylic because there's no iridescence in them as you turn it in the light. So they're probably just, you know, acrylic, but all the same, they look great. You've got 24 frets. We've got a bolt-on neck. The body is solid wood, I assume either basswood or poplar, perhaps agathis, but you know, something like that. Certainly not mahogany. And we have got the 3 pickups. You may notice that the neck one looks slightly different, and there is a reason for that, which I shall explain in a moment. And you've got this Floyd Rose alike trem system, which is called the Overlord. The Overlord. So yes, bendy bar, you know, pretty standard kind of stuff really. But let me tell you what it's really all about. So when this came to me for a little bit of work, this is not mine, it's not for sale, it belongs to a client of mine. The lock stops were on upside down, so they weren't locking anything. So obviously that's fairly easy, just turn them the right way around, get them on. The frets, oh, let me tell you about the frets. The frets were like, at the end, at the top E end, they were like Greek curly slippers. They actually curled up, and the guitar was, for that reason, totally unplayable. The neck relief was so far out, and there comes a point when you're tightening up a truss rod to get the neck straighter that there's only so far you can go before you hear snap with the truss rod just giving in. So I've had to adjust it incrementally and hang it so it can settle down. Most decent guitar necks and truss rods, you adjust them and the effect happens instantly. With this one, it was a little reluctant, let's say. But anyway, we've got that right. We've sorted the frets out, which is great. And then the most hilarious thing was what was going on with the trem system. Now, whilst this may look like a Floyd Rose-alike system, there's no backward movement to it, so it's synchronous, so it will only go down and not back, which is sort of defeats the object in many ways. The little wheels do work; they're absolutely fine. The little fine tuner wheels, but when it came to me, for a start, the trem was blocked off with a lump of wood, and there was something rattling about inside at the back of it. So of course I took the cavity plate off this item here, and the springs were just lolling around freely, having a holiday, clearly. So every time I tried to pop them back on, they just kept pinging back out again. So let's get all the trem block out. Turns out the trem block was on actually back to front, so we turned that round and then that was okay. But what was so amusing was that, as you will know, you Floyd Rose types, is that what we've got is a little series of graphite blocks here that hold the strings in place. So what you do is you crop the end, then you slot them into the graphite block, and you tighten up the graphite block, and then it holds the string in place. And the amount of times that I've tightened up those blocks and the strings just keep pinging out. So, little file to rough up the surface. Turns out they're not graphite at all. It's Chinese pot metal. Chinese pot metal is basically what happens to your empty cans of Coke. And then it's reformed into whatever shape or design that you design. And so they were Chinese pot metal and not graphite at all. But all the same, you know, bit of roughing up with a little file has made them hang on to the strings adequately. So the strings, whilst you are supposed to nip off your ball ends, the ball ends were still there, and somehow somebody had, whether it was Lindo or a previous owner, had actually managed to thread which makes perfect sense, because if those blocks aren't holding the strings, then you want to have the whole thing in, I suppose. And so the ball ends were still at the back of the trem, so I had to take absolutely everything apart to extract the strings. Which, you know, so now it is back to working as it should. The fretwork was probably the most challenging, and I do like a challenge. I'm working on guitars and making something that didn't play well, or didn't play at all, as this one did not, into something that works, you know, perfectly well. That is a particular passion of mine. So I have enjoyed doing this. So when I plugged it in to give it a little soak test, when I went through the pickups, the neck pickup did not work at all, and you will note that the neck pickup, I managed to reuse the cover, but you'll note that the neck pickup is not of the same design as the others. What I would say is that this humbucker is pumping out a very, very healthy almost 14 ohms at, you know, at the normal ohms, 20 ohms setting on your multimeter. So we've got a new pickup, all the strings are absolutely fine now, the lock stop is working correctly, and the trem does, you know, well, it does probably what it's supposed to do. These were about 300 quid at the time of sale, which I think is around 12 or 15 years ago. And for 300 quid, certainly at that time, you could have bought yourself a proper second-hand Ibanez. So do I buy new, or do I buy, for the same price, something decent, a known make that's second-hand? Well, I would always go for a known, tried and trusted, reliable name. But that said, just always make sure that it works fine. If there's a video showing that it works okay, then that is great. If you can go and see the instrument first, that is even better. If you can take a knowledgeable friend, that is better still. But so just be careful who you're buying from. These no-name guitars, or certainly something that's had a sticker put over another sticker, I would personally avoid, like the COVID-19. So that is my top tip for you tonight. I'm not saying don't buy a Lindo, but at least try the damn thing out first and make sure that all is well. And if all is not well, walk away. No matter how attractive and shiny it might look, if you don't play, then you might think, here's the thing, you might think that you are rubbish when actually it's the guitar that is at fault. So, you know, Gibson, Fender, Ibanez, all that stuff that you know, probably really always your best bet. PRS, whatever, you know, I would always buy something that is reliable and known. That's it from me. I've waffled on way too long. So just be careful what you're buying and who you're buying from. Thank you all ever so much for watching. It's been a joy seeing you as usual. So it's adios amigos. I'll see you soon. Ciao.